Oh. Welcome to Meaningful Mornings. Most describe the coronavirus as a pandemic. Yet, in 2020, in America, the value of the homes in America have increased by $2, not billion, but trillion dollars. $2 trillion. People are at home more, they're investing in their homes more. Now that many are getting vaccinated, hopefully all, what will happen to the values of these homes? Will it go down? Many of you are decisively saying, yes, based on my calculation. The point I'm trying to share with all is always changing. There's a virus, prices go up. There's a vaccine, perhaps prices will go down. How long will we depend on that which is not us? And so Meaningful Mornings is a workshop to be deeper. And the more deep you are, the more free you will feel. Free of the fluctuation of viruses and vaccines. Prince Arjuna right now is using logic to justify his position. Who is he looking for in terms of validation and support? Shri Krishna. What is Shri Krishna doing? You can say he's listening, but mostly he's just hearing. He's enjoying Prince Arjuna's emotions, his logic. He's smiling. He's not frustrated. Like a child throwing a tantrum, a trained parent just watches, lets that child exhaust themselves. Now he's bringing up family. The logic of this conflict will be harmful to families. What Swami Tejomayananda shared with us, he said, the present concept of family is a husband, is a wife, is a child, all temporarily. Our relationships have become temporary. In the Bhagavad Gita, the word is preya, the path that is small picture, short term, selfish in nature. And for some, this may sound harsh. In our Freedom Walk this weekend and next weekend, I'm going to read an article to all of you about the concept of family. A modern article about modern families. It is quite a shocking article. This focus on individualism. Prince Arjuna is not identified with humanity, even his family. He's using the word family, but he's not identified with the big picture, long-term selflessness needed to be in a family. Such individualism, with this, you cannot build families. Legally, you can, but that's not a family. And if there's not strong families, there will not be strong communities, there will not be strong societies. For some, the mentality is, so what? I need to live my life for me. Without society, community, family, even a individuality cannot live in a healthy, happy way. And this is why Sri Krishna is a avatara. An avatara that is going to correct oppressive rulers in a macro sense, but also to correct selfish individuals like us in a micro sense. This is Prince Arjuna. He is great. Sri Krishna wants him to be the greatest. The same logic flows through the next verse. We're on verse 40. Kulakshaye pranashyanti kuladharma sanatanaha dharme nashte kulam kritsnam adharmo bhi bhavatyuta. The first quarter. Kulakshaye pranashyanti, with the destruction, with the perishing of family. Here his references to the destruction that is going to happen on this battlefield in Kurukshetra. The culture of the period of time that Prince Arjuna is in, those that went to war tended to be males. That's why all of the relationships that I read out to you, Prince Arjuna went through this twice. They were father-in-laws. They were grandsons. You all noted that. That was the culture of the period of that time. Unfortunately, not much has changed, correct? Kula dharmaha sanatanaha, with the destruction of family in the battlefield, there will also be destruction of family at home. How will this destruction take place? Through the destruction of kula dharma, that is the traditions of families, sanatanaha, that have been going on forever. Here Prince Arjuna is pointing out, of course there will be an overt destruction, a loss of life, but a covert destruction also, that if fathers are not around, if sons are not around, the morale at home will become weaker. See, the word tradition is used, and sometimes we interpret that as, how will a mother and a child engage in puja if the father's not around? You can still engage in puja, but covertly, the morale will be lower. There will be sadness. Makes sense? Dharme nashte kulam kritsnam. With the destruction of family, there will be destruction of tradition. With the destruction of tradition, there will be a destruction of family. That's the emphasis in the third quarter. The idea being is that traditions, rituals, these hold a family together. And this is true, but it's not absolute. Prince Arjuna is making this absolute when this is not absolute. And the way I think about this, let me just explain the last quarter too. Adharma abhibhavati uta, there will be a prevalence of adharma. Destruction of family, destruction of tradition, all that will spread is adharma. This is Prince Arjuna's perspective. Sri Krishna's perspective is adharma's already spreading, and this has to be stopped. This is your responsibility. To make this more relative, do you all know someone who has been in an abusive relationship? By show of hands. And I won't ask here, but in a recent women's empowerment class, I had asked the Devis, the women that were present, there may have been 75. I asked, how many of you have experienced domestic violence personally? And around 10% had their hands up. It was a very moving sharing. What should one do if they're in an abusive relationship? They should end that relationship, no? Many of us think that this tradition should go on, even if there's abuse, but that's not a relationship. That's just abuse. Legally, it's a relationship, but in an emotional sense, it's not. And that's what Sri Krishna is trying to bring to Prince Arjuna's attention. You're not looking at this deep enough. Thinking about this in another way, in some traditions, if there's abuse in a relationship, let's say between spouses, the message is don't get a divorce. Now, does that sound healthy? In that divorce, wouldn't that be better for everyone involved? It's not easy, but being in that relationship has more damaging effects. This is not black and white. No relationship is black and white. This is gray. Sri Krishna is trying to shift us from small picture, short-term, selfish in nature, to big picture, long-term, selfless in nature. Keep thinking about what I just described about abusive relationships, a divorce. What if that's you? What if that's your son, your daughter? What if that's your parent? Now, whose perspective will you adopt? Who will you support? All of a sudden, this becomes less repetitive, correct? These kind of sentiments are required to get us to think more, to be ready more. I know the perspective I would adopt if this was happening to my sister, to my sons. I would adopt the perspective of Sri Krishna. From inspiration to application. Yesterday, you had to count how many times you made excuses. And none of you shared on Medium. There weren't enough characters. Is that why? How many excuses did you make? 0, 5, 5, 6. Okay. An excuse is really based on wants. Not making excuses is based on needs. Yes? Whenever I want, it becomes small picture, short-term, selfish in nature. There will be excuses. Here is your application for this morning. I want you to share with another who's not in meaningful mornings. What is the teaching from chapter 1 thus far? We've completed 40 verses. We have 7 more to go. What is the teaching from chapter 1? I want you to share that with another seeker, another person. Clear? Let's see how clear you are. Is really your application. On to announcements. We have gone through 2 weeks of the High Five Challenge, 2 weeks since Mahashivratri, there are 4 weeks left, 4 weeks until Bhagwan Rama's Jayanti. Keep reflecting on the rads that are shared through social media, how the High Five Challenge is going for you. What are you learning? What are you unlearning? And every Thursday, I remind you to challenge another to be part of this challenge. Someone who needs help, someone who needs a culture of discipline. Share this opportunity with them. It makes me very happy to see every day more seekers who are part of this challenge. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Be safe, be sound, be serene, be happiness.